What's happening, everybody? Welcome into a brand new episode of Fighting Words. I'm Bob Wankel. Anthony Sanfilippo's here. We think. Little situation with Anthony's internet connection here this morning. What we have? Some wind last night. A tree fall down.
You know, it's so funny. I'm sitting in my office now. I'm on the opposite side of the house where this happened, but I'm sitting in my office and I just realized that my mic is not even plugged in. So you're getting the computer audio. Give me 1 second as I plug the mic back in here.
Chaos at the Sanfilippo household today.
Complete and utter chaos this morning, right? And now I gotta change the mic. There we go. Now you got a better
sound great.
Okay.
Now.
Great. There we go. So I'm sitting in my office. It's late last night because I came home. The Phillies. By the time that game ended last night, and I got home, I started writing. I was writing a Bryce Harper story, and I'm sitting here, and I heard this sound, and it was like this whooshing sound, but it was very loud. It was like, whoosh. And I didn't know what the hell it was, but it sounded like it was right here, right next to me. So I'm looking out my window in my office. I don't see, it was dark, but I don't see anything. I went downstairs, looked at our big bay window that looks to that side of the house. I thought maybe there was something with traffic going by because I live on a main road. Nothing. I'm like, what the hell was that? I had no idea what that noise was. I'm thinking, did I hear it in my head? Was I just getting tired? And then all of a sudden, it was just at that moment, I come back to my computer and my internet's down. And I was like, what happened? Like, why did my internet go out? So I just chalked it up to just, it's late. I'm not going to get this done now. I'm not going to try and resolve this now. I'm going to go to bed, wake up in the morning. Wake up. It still hasn't resolved itself. I get on the horn with Verizon. We're going through this whole rigmarole. They're making me test boxes, unplug things, plug things back in as they always do. It's not working. So they said, we're going to send a technician out. So I go outside just to, whatever. I go look outside. And lo and behold, a tree came down in my yard last night for no reason. There was no wind, no rain, nothing, right? Just came down in my yard. And luckily it didn't knock out the power. It's leaning against the power line, but it completely snapped the Verizon cord coming in from the pole to my house. So yeah, I am sans internet. I'm doing this via a mobile hotspot.
Well, the good news is 2 minutes and 45 seconds into this, we're holding up. Now, on the negative side, we just spent 2 minutes and 45 seconds of what might be good airtime.
I thought it was wise to at least give that a shot, right?
Yeah.
If it didn't work, then we would bag the show, right?
All right. Well, so here you go. What a difference 2 games makes. Phillies end up winning a series against the New York Mets over the weekend. They absolutely obliterate them on Saturday night and come back and beat them up pretty good again last night on national TV 2 times. Bryce Harper goes crazy. Kyle Schwarber goes crazy. Christopher Sanchez and Zach Wheeler look awesome. Duran in the 9th last night, awesome. It's a little bit of a different tone than what it was on Friday when we talked and I said that I wanted to rip my television off the wall. And I'm not surprised they won the series. I'm not surprised that they went 4-2 on the homestand. And by the way, I know that we do our jinx thing and we talked about how Bryce Harper's struggling and all of that, but I would like to say for myself that I did come back to the Bryce Harper conversation because I went back and listened to it this morning. I did say, looking at the expected numbers, look at the reality of it. He's probably going to bust out. I would not be surprised if he did it quickly. And man, I was a little bit surprised it was that quick. That was crazy what we saw this weekend.
Yeah. So Saturday night was historic. It's only been done once in the history of baseball that those 2 things occurred by a pair of teammates in the same game previously, and that was back in 1932. Lou Gehrig and Tony Lazzari for the New York Yankees. By the way, occurred in Philadelphia, so it's only happened twice in history of baseball, both times in this city. And then to have Schwarber hit 3 home runs and Harper hit for the cycle was pretty amazing. And then they followed up last night with each of them hitting another home run, Harper getting 3 hits, a single double and a home run. He was hoping that he got another, but he admitted it after the game. He's like, yeah, I'm not going to lie. I was thinking about it, hoping we had an opportunity to come back around and get one more at bat in the 8th inning. So you can have a shot at a cycle in consecutive games. But he's been swinging the bat, even though he was in that 1 for 22 slump. Like, he had a lot of hard outs in there, Bob.
Yeah.
And like a lot of unlucky in those. I don't want to make it like a full season thing that there was a lot of bad luck, but in those 22 at bats, there was some bad luck. And usually, and that's when you say you look at the expected numbers, right? Usually when that happens, that's when you're going to see the breakout follow, which was why it was wise of you to say on the last episode that you could see it's coming. But then he added, and this was interesting, like he brought out the 35-ounce bat in these last 2 games, as opposed to he had been swinging a 32-ounce bat. And we say, well, it's only 3 ounces. It's a big difference in baseball. Like, I don't know what you used to.
Yeah, I mean, it's a massive difference. It's a completely different feel.
Yeah, it just is. It's a big difference in baseball, especially when guys are throwing 100, right? Like, you got to get that through the zone a little bit more. And I think it's helped his timing a little bit. And boy, does he look good.
Yeah, he went from, after we talked on Friday morning, he was at 248 with a 360 on base percentage, 477 slug, 837 OPS. In a 2-game span, he lifted his batting average up to 266, his on base percentage to 372, and his slug to 524. So he sits in an 896 OPS this morning. So I started to think, man, that's quite a jump. Like, you don't see at this point in the season, in a 2-game stretch, somebody basically jumped their OPS by, 59 points. So I did a little research. There is no Philly ever with 250 at-bats or more in a season that was able to jump their OPS by that amount in a 2-game stretch. Ryan Howard came very close in 2006. He did by 58 points. Harper has him beat by at 59. I mean, so what you saw last night is something that, or what you saw over the weekend, is you just don't see players move statistically like that. And it's why, and I kind of point this out because we had this greater conversation about, is this guy an all-star? And I think that at the end of last week, you probably would have said, like, maybe because the game's in Philly, but the numbers for a first baseman just really aren't quite there. Now you come back and you have the same conversation 2 games later, which seems silly. Like, this seems like a conversation that's reserved for mid-April, talking about this type of movement in a player's stat line. But now you have the conversation and you consider what he did. It was, by the way, against the Mets. It was on national TV. Night 1's the cycle. Last night he has another 3 hits. The stat line's completely different. Like, he's a slam dunk all-star in a matter of 2 games.
Yeah, no, I was talking about this with a couple guys in the press box last night. Like, he went from maybe not in the All-Star game to probably in now over 2 games. Like, it literally in 48 hours, he did that. And here was something else that I was thinking, Bob, and this was part of the story that hopefully will be published as soon as this show is over because internet issues. But the story that I wrote about Bryce, all season we've said things like, where would this Phillies team be without Kyle Schwarber? And rightfully so, right? I mean, the guy's on pace for 61 home runs, and we're going to get to Kyle Schwarber here in a couple minutes. And we've also at times said, where would this team be this season without Brandon Marsh or Christopher Sanchez or Zach Wheeler? Again, all deservedly so. But why haven't we, to this point, said, where would this team be without Bryce Harper? And part of me says it's because of the whole spotlight being a little bit harsher on him and expectation level being a little bit higher on him. And we're all sitting here watching this with eating our popcorn, seeing as this full season soap opera plays out, elite versus non-elite nonsense, right? But when you really look at his numbers, he's doing things and he's on pace to do things right now that he hasn't done in a long, long time. He, like you mentioned, he's at 896 OPS. He hasn't been above 900 for a full season since he won the MVP in 2021 with the Phillies. He's on pace for 36 home runs, something he hasn't done since he won the MVP for the Nationals in 2015. So, like, the numbers he's putting up are in line with some of the things he did in his MVP seasons.
Yeah, I mean, look, you said it. Just talk about pacing. He's on pace for 29 doubles, so 30's within reach, 36 home runs, 93 runs batted in at the moment on pace for, so 100 is in play. He's on pace to walk 101 times, score 107 runs. These aren't numbers that are going to necessarily, well, you know, and we'll talk about this in a second. They're not numbers that are going to win you an MVP in 2026, but they are, use whatever word you want, top tier, A+, elite, whatever. I mean, he's in that category at the moment. And, you know, we talked about it. He was probably sitting outside that category late last week. It's crazy what 2 games have done for him. And it's funny, you start thinking about the MVP season in 21, and I'm thinking after this weekend, I'm like, man, you know, Schwarber and Harper are both, you know, within range of at least having the conversation about MVP. But then you go and you look at where Shohei Ohtani slots in, and it's just like the conversation, it's like a non-starter. Like, we can't even have the conversation. Right now, you go on DraftKings and you can take Shohei Ohtani versus the field for MVP. Shohei Ohtani's minus 1,600 to win the MVP against the field at plus 900. Now, that's a great bet if you're banking on an injury.
That's what I was going to say. Why wouldn't you make that bet? And if you're not that you're rooting for an injury, but at the same time, all it takes is an injury to kind of upset that apple cart, and then you got great odds. Like, it's actually a pretty good bet.
You know, and you can't do it. But if you remove him from the equation, I think you start to look at both Schwarber and Harper as guys on that short list with the Matt Olsons of the world. And, you know, there's probably 6 or 7 guys that you would entertain at the moment. And I mean, Harper, if you would say, and like you say, these are the numbers, and this is one thing I think it's worth pointing out. We talk about his current pacing. The Phillies, you know, Don Mattingly said it last week. We talked a little bit about it on Friday. Like, these numbers are probably suppressed a little bit. They're probably deflated a little bit, given that he's run into a great deal of bad luck. So you wonder if that starts to even itself out a little bit going into the second half. Like, is there a possibility that this is like 35 plus doubles? Can he get to 40 home runs? Could he maybe drive in 105 plus? Maybe if Trea Turner starts getting on base, you know, like, these numbers might be even a little bit better than what he's currently pacing for.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that's the thing. And I think that, you know, there's a lot of criticisms of Bryce. And
his defense still stinks this year, though.
Yeah, some of them are warranted still, right? Defense has not been great this year. And I think that that's part of why also we haven't, you know, said where have they been, where would they be without him? And then there's the criticism. This is one of the things I wanted to get into because it was interesting this weekend. His comments, Don Mattingly's comments, and just opinion, your opinion, my opinion, everybody's opinion on his base running. Right now, we've criticized him many times in the past for his base running, many times, and deservedly so. I'm not sure that I'm of the mindset to criticize him for what he did on Saturday. And let's start with the one that's more important to me. It's not the triple, it's the double, right? Where he really took a chance there because the game's still a game at that point. Yeah. And, you know, he hustles out the double and he gets there. Probably a situation where if he's thrown out, people are complaining about it. Like, what are you doing? Why are you being so ridiculously aggressive unnecessarily? And Bryce says, I don't care what people think about my base running. That's the way I've always done it. That's the way I'm always going to do it. I'm always going to be aggressive like that. Okay. That sounds a little selfish coming from him. But then you hear Mattingly say, we want him to be aggressive. We tell them to be aggressive. And it's as long as you do it in a smart manner. And he says, in that case, he thought it was a smart manner. And he described it and said, listen, you have a guy out there who's not a normal right fielder. It was Eric Wagaman was playing right field for the Mets at that time. He said the play is on his backhand, right? And he didn't want to say it, but he doesn't really have a strong arm from out there. So the situation called for an opportunity to be aggressive. And Bryce took advantage of it and took it. And so whereas, you know, you might criticize him if he was out, it does make sense as to why he went there. And so this one, I won't criticize Bryce Harper. I don't know about you.
Look, here there's a fine line. You have a hustle double, great. I have no problem with him going for 3 on that cycle either. And we'll talk about that.
I wanted to get into that separately, but
it's a different conversation. But that's fine. I don't mind. Sometimes he'll try to extend. He'll try to take an extra base. He looks silly. As an athlete, if you say this is what I've always done, this is part of my player profile, this is part of my DNA. This mindset has helped me reach this level of success. Big picture, I don't have an issue with that. But the key there, and you said it is, as long as it is smart, as long as it's intelligent. And unfortunately for Bryce, I mean, I get what he's saying and the essence of what he's saying, but there have been a number of situations where it's shown up and you say to yourself, I don't even understand the payoff. What was the upside in doing this? And so like earlier this week, you go back to the Marlins series, we saw a situation in which Bryce Harper tried to steal third base and was the final out of an inning at third. Like you can't do that. What's the upside there? Are you trying to get yourself in a position for a pass ball? I mean, so I don't understand. I understand it. I know that Bryce Harper doesn't give a shit what anybody thinks. It's quite clear. I'm not surprised to hear that. And he shouldn't. But there's a time and a place. And I don't mind a guy being aggressive, especially when you have a struggling offense and you have a guy trying to make something happen. That stuff I understand. But there are times, and we've seen it show up again and again, where you're like, what was the payoff in this situation? And that I'd like to see him scale back on.
Well, for sure.
It's a simple conversation.
Sure. And I'm with conversation. I think I'm in 100% agreement with you on this. I really am. I'm using tunnel vision here and just looking at the plays from this weekend, right? Yeah. And saying that while on the whole, I wish he was a little bit more intelligent in his base running decisions, I don't have a problem with the ones he had this weekend at all. Yeah. And I know that there's criticism of him out there. It's weird that you're criticizing a guy who just had a cycle and 5 extra base hits in 2 games and like his, was just a beast all weekend. And we're looking for things to nitpick about what he did. Right. And so that doesn't make any sense to me. The other thing was the triple, as you mentioned, you have no problem with him going for it there. I don't either. You're up 10 runs. You have a shot at the cycle. You can take a chance.
He's out by 52 feet if they throw the ball to third in that play.
He would be. And so this is something I also wanted to talk about because I think that there's a belief out there that he got some hometown scoring. He didn't.
He didn't. No, he did not.
No, that is a legit triple. And the reason it is, just to explain it to the listeners, is he never slows down.
Yeah.
He is already around second and heading toward third before Zach Short even throws the ball home. Yeah. So because of that, he is already heading to the base. Therefore, you have to give him that base if he gets it.
Yeah, the runner's intent supersedes where the baseball goes on the relay. And now, had there been any hesitation, if he pulls up and says, wait, let me react, and then goes to third, then it's a double and then with the extra base.
Correct. Yes. And if Zach Short throws to third, he's out by a mile. Maybe he'd been out by the most anybody's ever been out by.
I mean, it is comical. And Bryce Harper and what he's going to do there. And I get why he did it. And I probably would have done the same thing, especially given the situation. It's not like he's the go-ahead run, come to third base there where he's got to be smarter. He has the luxury of the game flow and what the game was at that point. But I mean, you knew Bryce Harper, the moment he touched first base, he was just going to go. I mean, he knew it, not coming around second. He knew it coming around first.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So that's why it was a triple. The team told him to go for it, right? Yeah. They were actually talking about it in the dugout, like where he would have to hit the ball in order to get the triple. And he didn't quite get it where he wanted. Like he was shooting for Monty's angle out in left center field. It was a little bit left of that, and obviously it was a gapper as opposed to like a ball that you crush off the angle. So he didn't quite hit it the way he wanted to hit it, but you knew he was going for 3 regardless, unless it was just a clean signal, he was going for 3. And there's no problem with that. That's kind of a cool event. It's kind of a cool thing. His celebration was awesome because, here's a guy, 2-time MVP, been in the league for 15 years, has all these accolades, had never hit for a cycle, hadn't hit for one since junior college. And so that's kind of a cool thing, to see somebody finally get that opportunity to do it. So good on
him. Yeah, and not to mention, we've talked so much over the last 2 years about where's the emotion, where's the fire. I haven't seen Bryce Harper really on the field show me anything since they were in London back in 24, where he did that lame goal slide going back into the dugout, right? And so, to see him fired up and excited and see the little, the little boy in him, say, I just accomplished something really cool, to have that moment. I appreciate that as an observer, as a fan. And for this team, you're okay, hey, there it is. There's a little life. The guy's actually having some fun out there. And when you talk about how sometimes it looks like a chore for him, it was refreshing to see that, that amount of expression, that level of expression. And, it's funny. I said to you, very sarcastically and kiddingly last night, I'm man, if Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber are going to hit like this and they happen to have their 2 Cy Young candidates out on the mound and they can get it to Duran, this team looks unbeatable. But in all seriousness, this is why you don't want to play the Phillies in the playoffs. This is why we might all be miserable and we might not believe in them. But if you were to ask teams around baseball, hey, who do you not want to see in a 5-game series come October? The answer is always going to be the Phillies because of what they can do in the 9th inning, because of what Sanchez and Wheeler can do, and the possibility that Schwarber and Harper just wreck games themselves. They have that in them. And so, that's where it gets scary. And if we recorded this on Wednesday, we'd be talking about all their shit. There's no 4th starter. Nola sucks. Alan Ron-Hell, are you kidding me? These 3 relievers that aren't, Bolin and Kerkering or Duran, they all stink. This is why they're not a real threat. This team, I know this team, they're going to do that again. They're not going to go down to Washington and win 4 games and be 11 games over 500 when we talk on Friday. It's not what's going to happen. But when you catch them and they're able to set it up the way that they want to set it up, good luck, and that's my big takeaway this weekend. We're talking about this team. We're 22 and a half minutes into this show. We've mentioned Kyle Schwarber in passing. The guy hit 3 home runs on Saturday night and popped another one in the second deck last night. He's on pace for 61 home runs right now. Yeah. Here's my other big thing. You are watching an all-time special guy, an all-time special player. There's flaws. He's going to strike out 240 times. He's probably going to set the single-season strikeout record this year. He's not a perfect player. But, dude, I honestly think when it's all said and done, 5 years from now, you remove yourself from this era. I don't know how Kyle Schwarber is not a top 5 beloved Philly ever. I think he's going to be more so than Harper. I think he's going to be more so than Wheeler. I think he's the guy. When you zoom out from all of this, this is going to be the guy that they love the most.
See a Mount Rushmore?
No, I'll tell you what, though, man. It's I know he can't play defense. He's not a complete player. If you said to me right now, you got to go out and buy a framed jersey and put it in your office, who's the guy? It'd be him.
Yeah.
Is that Mount Rushmore? I don't know, but that's what I would invest in.
Well, there's always a debate over the 4th person on the Mount Rushmore, right? It's always Schmidt, Carlton, right? And then Utley. There are 3. And then the 4th one, you always get debates. Is it Jimmy Rollins? Who else you put up there? Robin Roberts, if you want to go way back, right? There's always debates over who the 4th guy is on that Mount Rushmore. And we all thought Harper might be that guy ultimately, but it could be Schwarber. But
he may be. Yeah. I think my read is that you get away from this 10, 15 years out, and you're going to say that Bryce Harper was the better Philly, or meant more in that it shifted the era. He was the big signing. Yeah. He chose us. Now, a lot of things could happen there. I know, he wants more money. He wants more years. I think that though that's not the pressing thing at the moment, That's on the back burner. It's there. There's a lot of different ways that relationship between the player and team could move in the coming years. Schwarber's here, and got paid and is happy. There's like some caveats to this and some things that you have to project out, but if Kyle Schwarber hits his 500th career home run in a Phillies uniform, he gets there. To me, that is the number that locks you into the Hall of Fame. It just does.
I was just going to. So this was another conversation we had last night, because he's going to be a 500 home run guy probably. I mean, injuries could always derail it, right? But he's only like 121 away right now from 500. So he's probably going to be a 500 home run guy, and that does usually lock you into the Hall of Fame. But he's going to have less than 40 WAR in his career, which is unfathomable for a Hall of Famer, right? Does that get him in? Because every 500 home run guy is in the Hall of Fame except for those who were tied to PEDs. But every other one is in. And I don't think Kyle Schwarber is like going to just pass 500. I think that his trajectory is going to be in that 550. Like, I think he's got a shot to pass Schmidt at 548.
Well, he's at 369 right now. He's got a shot to be at 400 by the end of this year if he stays healthy.
So we were talking about this last night, Tim Kelly and I, on Stoplight. If he gets to his, so let's, you're chasing the 60, right? The home run chase for 60. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. If he's all at 40 home runs by August 1st, like, it's going to be, the last 2 months of the season are going to be a blast around here watching Schwarber. His 60th home run would be his 400th career home run.
Yeah.
Awesome. That would be, so think
that's
about
what I'm talking,
right?
Like if that moment happens, like that's a special moment. Like that's a thing when it's all said and done, you go like, I saw that 60th home run. I saw that 400th home run. Like, that's a crazy moment. That's the type of moment that takes a player and it goes way beyond just what you're looking at on a sheet, in terms of, his WAR. Like, you go, dude, that was a special moment. Like, that stuff, it compounds when you assess a player and its significance to a town. I think he will get to 500. I agree with you. I think that he passes 500 with some ease. And if he does, I think you take all those other things out and just say, like, this is a different player. There's just no way you leave him out at that point. Not to mention he's won a significant amount too. And he's done it in high-profile cities. It's a guy came back, helped the Cubs win. It's a guy that had a run in Boston. This is a guy that's excelled in a very, very critical town in Philadelphia for a number of years. Like, he has to do it. He has to do this another 3 or 4 years. But, right now, do you think of him as a Hall of Famer? No. But if you sit here and say, all right, well, he had 60 home runs this year, and then he comes back the next 3 years beyond it, and he hits another 35 a season, 40 a season, I mean, how do you not?
Yeah. Exactly. And now the one thing is as David Waitman points out, like, next season's lockout could impact this a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But he's already been punished by losing 120 games in 2020 because of COVID, right? So, like, there are a couple of seasons that are going to impact whatever his final number is. So you got to kind of take that into consideration as well. But I didn't think, Bob, that it would be possible for him to come back from last year, which was such a career year, runner-up MVP to Ohtani. He's an MVP if in any other league that Shohei Ohtani is not in. He's like, how can you top that? How can you match that? Like, that was a 56 home run. That's an unbelievable total, right? Like, it's no way he can do that again. He'll hit 42, 43.
When they re-signed him, I'm like, you're not re-signing him to get a guy that's going to hit you 60 home runs. You're re-signing him to get a guy that can hit you 42.
Right, exactly. And yet here we are. The last year he hit his 20, so he's got 29. He hit his 29th home run last year on July 9th. He hit his 29th this year on June 21st. That's crazy. Think about that for a second.
Yeah.
Right? That's 18 days sooner, which is about 16, 17 games sooner. So if he hits 5 or 6 even, let's just, like, that's a small number to me, but let's say he hits 5 or 6 more before the All-Star break, right? And he's at 35, 35 home runs before the All-Star break. Like he's got a legit shot at this. Like legit. Not like, oh well, he might slow up and he's going to get off the pace. If he's at 35 home runs going into the All-Star break, like how do you not? And it's unbelievable to me that he's able to follow up last season with what he's doing this year. Like that doesn't normally happen. Look at all the guys.
By the way, it's not even just the pure counting element of the home runs. The guy's hitting 255.
Yeah,
I mean, he's got a 972 OPS right now. He had a 928 OPS last year. Like he's taking this thing to a different level. It's truly crazy. And that's why I said I think people need to we get so caught up in like, will they, won't they? Dombrowski this, fifth starter, right-handed bat. Like, this is why, and again, 2 days from now, those are all going to be the things I'm talking about and that we're talking about again, because they're pressing issues. But like sometimes you just have to sit back and say, damn, this is special, and appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that there's a person who expected him to do this again, and he's doing it again. And not only is he doing it again, he's doing it at a higher level than he did it last year. It's only half a season. You don't want to get too caught up in it. Baseball is a humbling sport at times. But if he could be what he's been, I'd be hard pressed to find somebody, again, non-steroid era, who had successive seasons like this.
Yeah,
like really, it's pretty remarkable.
Now all he has to do is just go out and like do it in the playoffs and win them a World Series. And
here's an interesting comment from Bayman. He says Schwarber has been a better hitter every year he's been with the Phillies, which is just incomprehensible. And that's true too, especially for a guy as they get older, right? Which is where he's at. He's gotten older with each year, and he's become a better hitter as he's going along. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean, you think about 23, like there was a moment, he finishes with 47 home runs in 23, but I mean, he won 97 with an 817 OPS. That was the year where you're like, dude, you gotta be a little bit more professional than this. Like, this is not, the biggest thing for him is that he's been able to turn it around against left-handers. I mean, he's gone from being completely vulnerable to extraordinarily dangerous. And to do that at that point in your career is, I mean, I don't want to say it's unprecedented because I don't have it researched, but I can't think of too many players that have done that. It's a complete reversal.
Yeah. We were comparing him to like the Adam Dunns of the world in 2023.
Yeah.
Like guys who just home and nothing else.
Yeah, talking about how 972 OPS, like 2023, like, he hit 47 home runs, but he only had an 817 OPS. It's like, it's a totally different player now.
Yeah, completely different player.
That's
why we made a big deal. Last thing about it is we made a big deal, if you remember, when he was leading off, was it 2 weeks ago, and he had a 4-single game?
Yeah.
Something that he had never had in his career, right? He only had 1 3-single game previously, and he had 4 singles. And that's just an example, right, of the different player that he is, that it's not just home run or nothing. It's not three true outcomes.
And by the way, had he elevated the ball a hair on Thursday night, he would have hit a walk-off home run to win that first game of the series against the Mets. He smoked that ball against Williams in the ninth.
Yeah.
He was right on that. All right, so a few things that I wanted to touch on here. The Phillies offense looked good over those last 2 games of the Mets series, and it looked good the first 2 games of the Marlins series. It was a decent week for the Phillies offense, so much so that they have now moved to 20th in runs per game this season. And that's obviously nothing to celebrate. This is still, by definition, a bottom third scoring offense. But I would like to just point out that they sit 20th overall, 4.27 runs per game. A week ago, they were 26th in baseball at 4.01 runs per game. And on June 1st, they were 28th, averaging fewer than 4 runs per game. I guess the question here would be, do you believe by the end of the season, when you look at runs per game, which is not the end-all be-all, but like a pretty good way to assess an offense, Do you believe that they will be a top 12 scoring offense, this lineup, by the end of the year?
Maybe not, but I will say this. I think it was, well, I don't forget, it was one of our episodes, I want to say in May, where we were talking about this. And I said, you just got to get to 4.3 runs per game. You get to 4.3, you're winning 2 out of every 3 games.
Yeah.
Like, just get to 4.3. That's you don't need to be an elite offense averaging 5 runs a game. You don't need to go that far with the pitching that you have. Just get to 4.3. You get to 4.3, you're a contender, for a championship contender with this pitching, and they're almost there, Bob.
Yeah,
like you said, they're at 4.25. Is that what you said now?
4.27 right now.
4.27. Yeah, they're almost there. Like,
they are a game.
So,
just to put this in context, like, they are one explosive game away from jumping a number of teams. Like, Cincinnati's 4.28, Arizona's 4.30, Miami's 4.31. Like, you could have a 10-run game tonight and find yourself ahead of all 3 of those teams and be sitting, 17th all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what is who's in 12th right now, and what is that percent? What is that?
That would be the White Sox, 4.64 right now.
Yeah, I don't know if they get that high. Like, that's a lot to get up to that high.
Yeah.
There's still enough inconsistency in this lineup in my mind that I don't think it gets that high. But can they get to 15? Yeah, I think they can get to 15.
Yeah.
And that's, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't need to be the complete and total offense. I mean, it doesn't hurt. It helps. But they don't have to be that. Just be about around 4.3, and you're going to win more often than you lose.
Let's see. I'm rapid firing some things here, and then we can talk about the Phillies.
By the way, I want to address this because we got a guy who's giving us a hard time.
Yeah.
Says they haven't had a positive run differential count against their opponents since Game 3 of the season.
Glazing. Yes, known glazer Bob Wankel.
Yeah. Yes.
This must be your first time here, my friend.
Yeah, I will say this: it's a wrap, sports. Not only do we not glaze the Phillies, but secondly,
oh my God, we're brutal.
Secondly, when I texted this to you last week, do you know what their run differential is in games not started by Andrew Painter?
It's now like plus 24 or something like that.
It's now
right?
plus 40. It's now plus 41.
Yeah,
they are plus 41 in games not started by Andrew Painter. So before you want to sit there and start saying, like, look at the run differential where it's at, I can assure you that this Phillies team will be a plus run differential team by the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, to the point, on May 1st, the Phillies had a negative 45 run differential. They were dead last. And by decent margin, too. The Mets were negative 35. Phillies were negative 45. And so they sit at, -4 now? So they've picked up 41 runs. They're plus 41 since the 1st of May, which obviously coincides a little bit after the managerial changes that happened in late April. Believe that they are a top 7 team in run differential since the 1st of May. So I don't know. I mean, look, I don't really have a response to that. Glazing the Phillies, I just got to be honest with you. I think the other people listening to the show would say that's pretty wild.
I know.
Check back. Actually, do yourself a favor. Do a quick dig through the archives and let me know if that comment holds up.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. Let's do a little odds check. I know you love this. I try to do this. I only try to do this once a month, but it's odds check time. Fangraphs. Phillies only 6.5 games out. This Phillies team is for real. I think that they're going to win the World Series. 18.2% chance to win the division per Fangraphs. Baseball Reference a little bit more pessimistic. 3.7% chance to win the division. Which of those two numbers do you think is more real, and more accurate?
Fangraphs.
Stop, dude. Stop glazing, bro.
You asked which is more realistic. I didn't say they were going to win the division. I just think it's more realistic to sit there and go, hey, listen, this team has shown an extended period of success here over the course of 2 months. They've closed the gap on the Braves, who are a little bit banged up right now, are struggling right now, and they have kind of sort of gotten themselves back into the race a little bit. So therefore, I look at it and say 18.3% sounds about right. That sounds about right. And I'm not, and I hate I hate the odds, right? I hate the percent chance of everything, of anything. But it's, to me, if you asked me today, said, Ant, if you had to put it together, I would probably would have thrown out 20%. That's what I would have said. I would say it's about 20% chance that they win this division. And I think that that's fair.
Yeah. I mean, look, they had, it was a good weekend for them, though. I mean, they got beat around yesterday, but they get Mizrahi. They find a way to grind out a win against him on Friday night. And then they come back and they get the heroics from Albies Ozzie Albies on Saturday, a big home run. Like, that's a series where if they lose 2 out of 3 or get swept there, all of a sudden now we're having a conversation. You get to 5, and then that's when I start talking about the division. That's where I would start to say, all right, it's June 22nd, it's July 1st, it's 5 games. They can do this. I'm still not there. I still like that Braves team a lot, but I will say they're starting to look a little hurt, and that pitching is.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got Strider's out for a bit. Bryce Elder has come back to reality.
Like, here you go. Like, I actually don't want to say this, and I'm not rooting for this. I start to wonder about Spencer Strider, like, long term now.
Yeah,
it's been long enough now where you're like, I don't know. This doesn't look right.
Yeah,
and the injuries keep popping back up. Bryce Elder stinks. He got off to a good start. I see a comment here. I knew Bryce Elder was fraudulent. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. They just hit, though. They hit, and they're tough, and they'll make a move at the deadline. Like, that's not the finished product of the Atlanta Braves. Like, we always look at it through this lens of, like, how can the Phillies patch their holes and get better? Like, I would expect Atlanta to go out and continue to add. They'll add to the pitching staff. And plus a 6.5 game head start. Like, I'll take the Braves still, but
yeah,
it's not outside the realm of possibility any longer. It's not like a joke to talk about.
No, that's why I think that the Fangraphs number is about right. Right. I mean, 18%. You're pretty much. It's almost 1 in 5. 1 in 5 chance that the Phillies can run down the Braves. I think that's
one more on the odds check front. Phillies currently, DraftKings and FanDuel, 6th best odds to win the World Series at plus 1,300. The Dodgers, Yankees, Mariners, Braves, and Brewers are the 5 teams ahead of them.
Again, about right. I understand it. I think that they're better than a couple of those teams, but I would probably. I mean, I look at it and I say the Phillies are behind the Dodgers for sure. The Yankees for sure at this point, because man, that Yankees rotation is really come to life. It's really a tough road to hoe. I mean, Schlittler and Cole and Fried. And
they were my real, because I know ball. They were my AL champion pick prior to the season.
Yeah, I mean, those guys are pretty impressive. And then, of course, they're going to be in the Scooble conversation, right? So now if you add Scooble and put him in the mix, that might be a wrap in the American League. I think that the Phillies are and I'd probably put Atlanta ahead.
Can you explain to me the, I guess to me and to anyone listening, the love affair with odds makers and the Seattle Mariners, who have not had like a banner season by any stretch of the imagination thus far?
Yeah, they've been playing a little bit better baseball lately. They do have great pitching, and I think that that's what it really comes down to. It's why the Phillies are in this conversation, right? I mean, when you have really, really good pitching, you're going to have a chance in a short series. You're going to have a chance to beat almost anybody. And so I think that but I would put the Phillies ahead of the Mariners. And I know this is going to sound, I'd put the Phillies ahead of the Brewers. I just would. There's something about Milwaukee that they turn into a pumpkin every year in October. They haven't had, agree. But I also think that the Phillies pumpkin turning was the Mets year more than anything else. The last 2 games against Arizona in 23 and the Mets. Again, last year was I qualified 2025. a lot differently than I do 23 and 24. I just do. I just think it's a different animal when you lose a tough series to the Dodgers, even though it was in the first round. It doesn't mean you didn't do what you should do, right? That was just a tougher series. So I qualify that one differently. I'd probably have the Phillies 4, 5, somewhere in that range. I think, but I think 6 is a fair number for sure.
Okay. All right. So speaking of runs per game. The Phillies see a team this week that leads baseball in runs per game in the Washington Nationals, and
it's not going to be an easy series.
Now, the Nationals don't pitch a whole hell of a lot, but they can swing it. And I mean, here we are. I suppose that we're going to see Alan Ronhell tonight. Is that where this is headed?
They wouldn't announce it last night. I was a little surprised by that, and it makes me think that they might do a opener. And then Ron Howell is like a bulk guy. They didn't announce who the other guy is. It was because they said Backus is coming back, right? So that much I know. They wouldn't say who, but I mean they DFA'd Bryce Wilson, so we know it's not going to be him.
Were you surprised by that at all? Or I mean, because he had been better at AAA. He came up here, it was okay in relief. Like they just said, like we're good with this. We don't need to do this.
I mean, he had an upward mobility clause, and he exercised that, so it kind of forced the Phillies' hand a little bit, and I don't think they particularly loved that idea, so they brought him up they needed a few innings, and then said thank you for your service, and we'll let you go. If nobody claims him, they can reassign him to AAA again if they want, right? But hey, he had that right in his contract. He pushed it, and the Phillies said, "Okay, go ahead, go see if somebody else wants to take you."
Yeah. Well, they have a tough matchup tonight specifically, and they are an underdog tonight right now as it sits. But they'll see a lefty in Foster Griffin, who's
pitched well.
Has pitched really well. I mean, this is not a young kid. He's 30 years old, but he's 7-2 with a 3.32 ERA, and his last 3 times out, especially, I mean, he's given up 1 earned run in each of his last 3 starts, 5 innings against the Diamondbacks, 6 innings against the Giants, and then 6 innings against the Royals. So, I mean, look, this is not set up for them tonight in the opener, that's for sure. And I mean, we'll see how the series goes. I kind of expect them to. This is a 4-game series, am I right? Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes,
so
I'll be there for all 4 games.
I know we typically save this for the end, but I would expect to see a split over these 4 games this week. I don't think that this is like Phillies beat the piss out of the Nationals and are 11 games over by the end of the week. I mean, maybe it is, but I don't think it will be.
I think it's a split too. You have 2. Well, I mean, the Nola Michaelis matchup is. I mean, Nola's not been great, but Michaelis hasn't been good either. I mean,
that's a tough one.
If this was 6 years ago, that would have been a pretty good matchup pitching.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, you worry about Nola getting hit, but the Phillies should hit Michaelis too. So take the over in that game. Whatever the over under is in that game, take the over. Yeah,
I mean that's sort of the toss up to me. I mean, I'll go Lost tonight, and then you have Luzardo, Littell tomorrow, and I would always go Luzardo just because I'm a Luzardo glazer.
Yeah,
that's my new favorite word. I love that.
Yeah,
so I'm in on him, and then obviously I'm just going to go with Sanchez in the finale. But then you
against Cade Cavalli.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cade Cavalli actually threw pretty well against Phillies earlier this year, and it was frustrating. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see. I think that's probably a split. All right, last thing I have before you take it any direction that you want, which includes wrapping it up if you'd like. Phillies last night. I saw a tweet from your guy, Tim Kelly, that there was 41,000 something there, and it was not quite a sellout last night. Were you there last night?
I was there last night. Yes.
Good crowd.
It was an energized crowd. It was not a sellout. There was a lot of empty seats in the upper level of right field and a little bit in the top, down the left field line.
So I have to ask, like last night from a weather perspective was a gift from God.
Yeah.
It was Father's Day. It's the Phillies and Mets. I know the Mets stink, but I guess I'm a little surprised that it wasn't a sellout. And then I looked at the average attendance for the Phillies this season, and I know that they were 10 games under 500, and it felt like this was a lost year, and that probably hurt them a little bit. But they're at 39,289 per game right now, fifth highest average attendance currently. They were fourth a year ago, and they were third in 2024. But in those 2 years, they averaged over 41,000. So they're down almost 2,500 fans a night right now. Yeah. You surprised by that? Is that just the fact that we haven't reached July yet? School isn't out, all of that stuff? Or do you think that the crowds have lagged a little bit here this season for them?
I think the crowds have lagged a little bit. You can try and pinpoint specific excuses as to why, but I also think that the ticket prices are a little bit higher now than they used to be. So you might be pricing a few people out a little bit. It's not as easy to take a family down to the game. It's an expensive venture. So that's one thing. Baseball was always the affordable sport to get a ticket. It's not that it's to the level of the other sports in town yet, but it is more expensive today. The Father's Day thing yesterday, I think there's a difference between playing on Father's Day during the day and playing on Father's Day at night. Yeah. It probably isn't as conducive to taking dad.
I see David Waitman actually just made that comment himself. Father's Day.
Did he? Okay, yeah. There it is. Yeah. I think playing at night on Father's Day changes the dynamic just a little bit, So that's it. I mean, but I don't think that there's a lack of attention for the team.
Yeah, can you bring up the comment there from Ethan Pechersky?
Yes.
Do you guys blame fans for not paying to go anymore? We all still watch on TV, but we know how the story ends in October. Why spend good money on a team that won't get it done? I guess there's multiple layers to that. I mean, one, do I blame fans for not wanting to go down there and spend a ton of money on the Phillies? No. Why go? I don't know. I mean, if you like baseball and you want to watch a guy chase after 60 home runs and see a team that probably wins 90 games, like, are we taking that for granted? I don't know. I mean, like, there's multiple layers to that. I don't blame anybody for not going down there. It's expensive. Like, I would never. One thing I'm not in the business of is getting into people's wallets and how they spend their money. You don't want to go. Right. Like, that's fine. I'm not saying that Phillies fans suck either. Like, that's not what this is. I'm just talking about, hey, it's down a little bit. Why? That's it.
Yeah, and Amy points that out. She says, for what it's worth, I've cut back on games I've taken my kids to. Went to 2 games this year, no more planned. Said it's just not in the budget this year.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. Like, I mean, it's not cheap any longer to go to a baseball game. Like, you can't just go down and I had a deal. Phillies sent me not because I'm a media member, but because I've bought tickets before. The Phillies sent me an offer that said, "Hey, listen, we have $25 tickets available." So I was able to get my kids some $25 tickets to go down to the game. But then, they have to go down and food and drinks and stuff. And it ends up being a couple $100, just for one regular season game. Right. So and that was on an affordable ticket at $25. Right. So it's not cheap anymore.
I went to, I've been to 3 so far this year. And, I went to the Sunday night game against the Braves early on. Painter was pitching. They lost. That was like right in the beginning of the spiral. Things were really starting to get out of control. And, we're eating a $17 cheesesteak and a $18 Bud Light. And I'm like, this is nuts.
Other thing. I was like crazy. Walking. I hadn't even noticed it. I mean, you know how it is, Bob, when you leave outside the press box and you're walking back to the elevator to go back down to go out to the parking lot. You're walking through the Hall of Fame Club, right? And they've redone the Hall of Fame Club. It's all brand new. There's a lot of new stuff. It's kind of parts of it are really kind of cool. But I was walking past like this. I think I want to say it's Surfside. I don't want to misstate it if it's not. So, but it's the specialty drinks, and I'm looking up and there are like these different like combinations for drinks, and I'm looking at the prices. It's like $28 a drink. It's like, this is exorbitant. Like, I would never pay $28 for an alcoholic beverage at a baseball game. Just wouldn't. Like, I just, I'd rather go sit in the parking lot, and drink beers that we brought from home, right, than sit there and pay $28 for some concoction in the ballpark. It's not worth it. It's just not.
Yeah.
So I don't know if people do that.
I hear it.
Yeah.
All right. What do you got?
So, I got one last thing for you, Bob. And, if do you remember earlier this year, I think it was in April, when Joe Adell made those 3 home run robbing catches in the same game. And I made that one last thing back then, whenever that was in April. Well, yesterday, he had the tables turned on him a little bit. And I will tell you that catch that was made yesterday by Oakland A's right fielder, Colby Thomas. Did you see the catch?
I did.
On Joe Adell. Like, Joe Adell hits that ball, and that dude, not only does he leap above the wall to catch it, but I don't think he thinks he's going to hit the wall when he lands. He lands like the center of his back on the wall, and his glove is beyond it, and you're thinking that ball's going to pop out. He held on to it. It was it was one of the more remarkable catches that I've seen in baseball in a long, long time. I don't know about you, but I was like, holy smokes, that's catch of the year for me right now.
Yeah, I think so too. It actually reminds me of a wide receiver going up and getting a helmet right to the back as he high points the ball. I mean, that's what he does too. Like you said, he doesn't expect to hit the wall like that. I mean, he hits the wall right in the middle of his back as he's high pointing the baseball. That dude could play tight end for me. Go up and climb the ladder. He just takes a unbelievable.
I mean, we see some great catches in baseball. These guys are incredible athletes, right? I mean, I take you back to the Michael Harris robbing the home run here at Citizens Bank Park. I mean, that was an incredible catch. Adell doing that 3 times, but that catch, and like, he just put his body on the line there. Like, really, I mean, he could have really been injured badly on that play, but to go up and high point that ball, like you said, where the wall hits him and he holds on to it, doesn't let it get like that. I put that up there as, and the team was so inspired by his effort that they blew a 7-4 lead in the 7th and then lost it in the 9th.
They did. By the way, did you see Artie Moreno and the Angels don't want to trade any of their players? And if you want Reed Detmers, you're going to have to give us a package that rivals Tarek Skubal. And
Artie Moreno.
Is there a worse? Can you imagine rooting for the Angels?
He lives in his own world, that dude. Like, he doesn't. I don't think he gets it. He just does not get it. Like, they have players that they can get prospects for. Trade them away, man. Your team stinks.
Yeah.
I don't know. By the way, that A's team, and you talk about them blowing that game, if they had any semblance of pitching, they'd be a dangerous team in the American League.
Yeah.
Because that lineup can hit.
Yeah, they can hit.
That A's lineup can hit. And they would be dangerous if they had any semblance of pitching. Even mediocre pitching, which they don't have. They have one bad pitcher after another.
Yeah.
So, which is why they're 2 games under 500. But anyway. That'll do it for us here on this episode of Fighting Words. Thank you for tuning in for Word. I will be down in D.C. For all 4 games against the Nats, and then be back with you with Bob on Friday morning when we will break down that series and look ahead to yet another series against the Mets. By the way, can we bury the Mets now for the season? Are they done?
Yeah, that should do it.
That they stink. That's a bad team. Yeah, that's a bad team. All right, but the Phillies will be back against the Mets next weekend in New York, but I'll be home for that, and we'll talk to you on Friday. So don't forget to subscribe to Fighting Words wherever you get your podcasts: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Pandora. We're on every one of those platforms, but best place right here on YouTube. You can subscribe, hit that thumbs up, ring the bell. You'll never miss a show. You'll know we are live whenever we go. It's different time. It's same days, but different time every day. We did 8:30 this morning. Last time we did it was at noon. You never know when Bob and I are going to come.
You never know.
You never know. That's why you should subscribe and click that thumbs up, ring that bell. You'll never miss it. And if you're listening in the podcast feed, you want to find us on YouTube, youtube.com/Fighting Words. So for Bob Wankel, I'm Anthony Sanfilippo saying thanks for tuning in, everyone. Have a wonderful week, and we will talk to you on Friday.